Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining this session. So tomorrow we're going to have a grand ceremony of International Students Creative Award 2020. But before that, we had an open judging committee session at 1 p.m. today. So guess who would win this award? So now we are going to start another session talking inside story of making films. So we would like to invite the judging panels and the nominees for the international video content category, and we'd like to hear their stories behind the scene, difficulties they had, and excitement and fun they experienced. There should be a lot of things to talk with and share with you. So today, in this session, we have a distinguished guest as a judge of the International Video Content category of ISCA 2020. So let me introduce the judges of the International Video Content category of ISCA 2020 one by one for the next session. So the first one is a new media artist and the art committee of the SIGGRAPH Asia, Ms. Cynthia Beth Rubin.
Hi, everyone.
Morning.
Nice to see you.
See you. Okay, so the second is the managing and artistic director of Ars Electronica, Mr. Gerfried Stocker.
Hello, everybody. Hello, thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining. And last but not least, the comic artist and co-founder of Toy Genius Limited, Mr. Pat Lee.
Hey, everyone. How's it going? Good to see everyone again.
Great. Thank you very much for joining today. So we're going to start this session very soon. So Cynthia, Gerfried, and Pat, let's enjoy. So we are starting the talking inside story of making the film. So yes, let's start with the first group who are from France. So they are actually from Pôle 3D Digital and Creative School in France. And the title of the work is Trois mots et un trois. And let me just invite the group. But just to start this session, we have Cynthia and Gerfried as a judging panel. And thank you for joining. So, okay, so please join the team, the creating team of Trois mots et un trois.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you.
Right. So please introduce yourself at first.
Okay, no problem. So I am Mathilde. I was one of the co-director of Trois mots et un trois, and I was responsible of the lighting, rendering, and compositing on the movie.
I'm Oran, and I'm also a co-director of Trois mots et un trois, and I was the main animator on the film.
Right. Thank you very much. Very smooth. Okay.
Thank you.
Let me introduce, of course, during the ISCA 2020, we are going to introduce the entire film, but in this session, just a 1 minute trailer. So please start. Right. That's it. Beautiful. Right. Okay. So that was the trailer, but actually I presume there are a lot of stories behind this. So let us hear more about your, for example, the difficulties you had or an inspirational experience for this creation.
Okay, so first of all, we did this movie during our studies. So we were 4 on this movie, and unfortunately, Hugo and Wassim aren't here today with us, but we have to. So it lasts 9 minutes, and we were only 4. So it is really it's a real challenge for 4 people. We have to do multiple tasks on the film, so this was the first difficult.
Yes.
Right.
And due to the COVID-19, we had to work from home for the last month of the production. So it was very difficult at the beginning to adapt. We had to
Find our new routine.
Yes.
Right.
Go to school, so it's difficult to not see our colleagues and our teachers. So that's
but we used some softwares to keep in touch, and we did weekly meetings and
Yes.
all.
and so
Yes.
we did it. The film has
To stay in touch and
Yeah.
to make things running, to make things forward.
exactly. No,
Right.
I this you can do this now. So keep in touch.
Okay. So, Cynthia, Geoffrey, do you have any comments or insights on this the talk? If you have any, just you can give some insight on that. Yeah.
So, congratulations on this film, especially the collaborative effort under the best circumstances, doing such a multi-layered, complicated film. That's fantasy within fantasy.
Yes.
Is just amazing to be able to arrive at a collaborative vision to begin with, and then to do this with remote distancing. I'm very impressed, and there must have been a lot of very intense behind-the-scene conversations that we get to see the results of those. So it's wonderful. Visually, the film is really dazzling. The lighting, the colors. Strange combinations, and you just do very brave things as what is this fantasy world. So my main, it leaves us just with our minds exploding.
Thank you very much.
It's always now have such kind of interaction between the judges, but yes, let's hear Geoffrey.
Well, I only can join Cynthia in the appraisal of your work.
Right.
It's really extraordinary. I mean, it's such a high level of quality of every little detail. I mean, lightning, colors, the animations, the way how you found different ways to animate the little creature in difference to the human being. So animation suddenly itself becomes part of really expressing the character. This is a highly inspiring work. I totally fell in love with the work. Then the moment when she walks through the wall and suddenly, wow, another universe appears, and she looks down to the hole and another universe appears. So I think this is really just exciting, and it's unbelievable for me that you did this only 4 people. I mean, when you know how much, how big the teams, how big the budgets in professional productions, who are barely so creative and really going into every little detail. I mean, it's 8 to 9 minutes. Full every second is 100% great story and great execution. It's really super exciting, and I'm just desperately waiting for your next productions.
Already. Yes, it's always nice to continue to work as a team, isn't it? So I would really like to have more voice from the nominees. So I really like to have the message to ISCA 2020 and all the viewers of your creation.
Okay. Okay, so bonjour à tous, je suis Mathilde. Nous sommes les co-réalisatrices de Trois murs et un toit. Malheureusement, Wassine et Hugo n'ont pas pu se joindre à nous aujourd'hui en ces temps de Covid. Nous sommes ravis d'avoir été sélectionnés par l'ISCA et les juges. Merci, un grand merci à vous, ça nous fait très plaisir. Et en ce moment même, nous nous trouvons en France. Et nous espérons que le film vous plaira et qu'il réussira à vous transporter dans notre univers. Nous avons passé ces 2 dernières années en fait à travailler dessus, donc aujourd'hui nous sommes fiers de le voir tourner dans de grands festivals tels que l'ISCA, et ce fut un plaisir de participer à cet événement avec vous. Et puis prenez soin de vous pendant ces temps de Covid, et puis à bientôt. Bon visionnage. Bye.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much for joining this session. So this was the work of the creation was tremendous, and really appreciate your creativity and also the participation today. So that was from Matilde and Oran from Paul Digital and Creative School, or 3D Digital and Creative School, and the title of the work was Trois murs et un toit. All right. Thank you so much for joining, and see you then.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so that was the first group from France, and the next one is from Switzerland. We have Alicia Parr. The title of the work is Out of Ordinary. So please join.
Hello, nice to meet you. Warm regards from Zurich, Switzerland. And thank you, ISCA, for the nomination and for the invitation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for joining. So please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Alicia Pahl. I'm one of the 3 co-directors from Out of Ordinary, a dance movie. My colleagues unfortunately cannot be here, but Luca Signoretti was also the co-director and the choreographer, and Tobias Buchmann and I are also co-directors and the DOPs of the work.
Right, thank you so much. So just to have an insight of this film, let's see the trailer of this film. Right. Thank you very much. So what's the, yes, I'm really curious what's going to happen next. We'll definitely watch. So I really like to keep the session informal. Basically the idea is we would like to hear the behind the scenes stories of this film. So could you tell us more about your difficulties you experienced or excitement you had? Anything you'd like to speak out loud in front of the audience.
First of all, it's quite in our master program, because Tobias and I are studying cinematography, the Master of Cinematography at the ZHDK, and there is an obligation to do a kind of dance movie as a director, to have the chance to be a director and make a more visual film. For the first, we get some 2 pieces also of students of the ZHDK, music pieces from the composers, from the studying composers. And then we get a choreographer. And for the first time, I think 2018, it started a master program in choreography at the ZHDK. So they gave also a student to us. So to make a kind of piece out of this music. There are always like two pieces, and usually it is a little bit like more divided, that one piece is for one cinematographer and the other piece is for the other. But Tobias and I, we got along so well, and we thought, no, we need to do something really together. And I'm a little bit experienced in dance and movies. And Luca, I mean, I was super excited to work with him, because when I started to make research on him and I saw his beautiful choreography, I was very fascinated and I was very excited to work with him. And but when we met together, it was super like a very good vibe, and we are all like very ambitious and visual and everything, but we really need to Luca didn't have any experience with filming, so for him to he was very curious about everything. We need to tell him everything, but it was a challenge to say, like, we're not 2D. We really can go closer. We can go wider. We can experience spaces. We can play a little bit around with it. So it was very nice, but that was, I think, kind of challenge to be like used to have the stage in a theater somewhere and to put it into film. But then we get along. We got through a lot of spaces, like location scouting together, and we had the chance to, and so it developed. We went to rehearsal. We were trying to play with him and saying like, but this would be nice for the camera and interesting. And so we developed it all together, and it was very nice, but also challenging, also team-wise.
So as a team, you know, you have the different professionals and so on. Yes, it's always important, as like Gerfried always say, like, you know, work in a team, but the different professionals, and consolidate and maximize the abilities and the visions together. So what do you think about that, Gerfried? You could have some insider comments, or perhaps we could just have a casual chat in there. So this is a kind of rare case for the nominee as well.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, thank you very much for this great production. There's really much to say about how well it is done and how inspiring it is. But in particular, in this situation, what I was so excited to see and also hear now from you, the way how your university is really fully embracing interdisciplinarity, and then seeing and hearing your excitement about this, how wonderful it was for you also as a kind of inspiration. And I think in particular, the combination, of course, with dance and cinema, dance and movie, I mean, this has also this very, very long tradition. It was the most exciting thing for the first cinematographers to capture the motion of the human body. And we have all this wonderful tradition of Martha Graham or Merce Cunningham working together with super composers like John Cage or Aaron Copland, having architects and designers and all these people around them to really create a new genre, actually. That was really one of the, I think, significant new artistic developments of the last century. And now seeing that this becomes really a basis for a strong and profound education that is not only producing specialists with their skills, but that is really looking at interdisciplinarity as probably one of the most important skills of our time. So this is really wonderful, and thank you for showing this in such a great example.
Thank you for your words.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Very moving.
How about that, Cynthia? Do you have any things you'd like to ask, or otherwise?
And congratulations. And hearing your explanation about your discourse among yourselves really fit into the notes that I had already made about the changing space, because for me that was very impressive, that there were times when the space was very right here, like in your face, and then very deep, and we were pulled in and out of space. Yes, it was changing locations, but there was also a different sense of movement as you went with it. And I felt, going along with that, the costumes were just amazing. They were in some spaces very stark and, okay, dancers, but then other moments where there's this shimmering fabric, where this color just kind of takes over, almost where the bodies are just inhabiting the fabric, but of course, wonderful dancing underneath. But so there must be a whole costume team that was part of this as well, and that was very impressive for me. And then, of course, as a former painter, I just love the nod to the art gallery. He managed to fit that in. So there's some symbolism going on with the spaces that you chose as well. So congratulations to pull this off with so many different elements going on.
Thank you so much. I mean, there were discussions of the color palette of the fabrics and with the texture, so it's so nice to hear that. And I think Ben did a very good job on it. And we were also very happy that we could play with the lighting and with the fabrics, and that it gave us a lot. And especially from a painter to hear that, it's thanks a lot.
Great.
All right. Thank you very much for joining this session. So that was Alicia from the Zurich University of Arts, and the title of the work is Out of Ordinary. It was an extraordinary creation for this award. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you then. Bye.
See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So thank you very much. And the next session would be from the UK. So Daniel from the National Film and Television School, the work's title is The Song of Lost Boy. So please join Daniel.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for
Hi,
having me.
Daniel. How's it going, man?
Good, thanks. Not too bad.
Good, good.
All right. So let me start with your self-introduction.
Hi. So yeah, my name is Daniel Quirk. I was the director on this film, but had quite a big team, and so worked with a producer, Jamie McDonald, and lots of other team members to create this piece. Yeah, it was part of my graduation piece from the National Film and Television School.
Right.
I was studying directing animation there for my MA.
Right. So let's just first have a look at the trailer. Okay, that was the trailer. So what's the story behind the scenes or behind the creation of this film? So I'd really like to hear about your experience shared with the judging panels.
Yeah, so I wrote this film alongside the producer Jamie and the writer Briege Arnstein, and a lot of it came from like personal experiences of myself, and it was trying to kind of bring a lot of these themes that I was trying to express and that I wanted to express through making this film, knowing that I was going to be making it for the next year, and to be in a dark room animating, there has to be something that kind of, why are you making this film? And for me, it was because it's quite personal. It was doing, for me, it was helping me as a person, as well as the function of making a film to graduate from the school. So in terms of that making a personal story is always quite difficult, because you don't know how it should end, or you try not to remain too close to real life. And then just in terms of the production itself, it was because it's a big team. It's my first time directing a big team, so there's always kind of learning processes of learning how to direct large numbers of people. And then also, for example, like the puppets we used were made out of wax, and it was something I really wanted to use. I love the kind of the material properties of wax. I also love how light interacts with the wax, and you can see like little kind of the light coming through the translucent kind of layers of the wax. But we were shooting over the summer, and it was getting quite hot, and then you have the lights of the studio as well. Right. So then you get puppets start to slowly kind of melt and sink a little bit lower than they should. So it had its complications, but it all kind of adds to the I love the kind of the play between having these wax puppets in a desert and how hot a desert is, and then the effect it makes a desert dangerous to be in because it's hot, and for the wax puppets it's dangerous for those wax puppets to be there. And so I love that kind of play between that they actually were affecting the kind of the materiality of the puppets, and they get quite shiny. They look like they're melting sort of at times. So yeah, all these things I found quite exciting, but were difficult.
Yeah, so it's kind of a process of experimentation as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. So yes, Pat, do you have any comments on that, or any questions that you'd like to ask?
Well, actually, like when I saw the film, I thought it was a very intriguing piece of art, and it kind of got the design of the characters kind of captured my attention immediately, because I was like, just the look of the characters' faces, they just have this like constant like kind of uncertainty look, but it's like, even though they have this uncertainty look, you're able to bring out an emotion out of them, even with the look of uncertainty. When I watched it, the reason why I felt it was one of the a really great film was because I too have also experienced similar things that the character had experienced, and it's I just found it very unique the way you animated it, and it was like the skin was like constantly like moving, and it's like it felt like there was so much texture to the characters' faces on top of the emotion that you're trying to capture with the movement of the characters and the sound and everything. And I think it's a really great message for people in a sense where it's like, even though you've had something that you thought you're great at, and you feel a sense of that you lost something, that you always have to keep trying to seek the right energy or the right frequency or the right people, and also to find yourself and to find your positive engine back so that you can keep doing what you love. So I felt it, not only that was the story great, but I felt like visually it was stunning. The cold and the dark and the way the characters interacted with one another. I can't imagine how long it must have taken to create everything. I'm sure it took an incredible amount of time. And I think and honestly, like you said, it's like when you create something that you're very passionate about, I think that is like the most incredible things. First of all, it's the hardest thing to create, because you're always contemplating, like, because you're so passionate about it. You're not sure, like, okay, how to perfect. We become perfectionists. So it was really, really nice to hear that it was your passion project and you were able to complete it until the end. And a lot of people who are really passionate about their stories and stuff like that, they have a hard time getting it out there. They have a hard time exposing and sharing what they feel inside and applying it to something creative and expressing it out there. I mean, just myself alone, I have a samurai comic book series that means the world to me, but I still haven't launched it, and it's been more than 20 years. So, so I completely understand where you're coming from, and it was visually stunning. I just really enjoyed the story, and I felt it was very meaningful.
Right. So yeah, it's it overlaps a lot actually. So how we're going to create this kind of process. So yes, Gareth, do you have any comments or questions that you'd like to mention?
Well, first of all, again, everything that Pat was saying is really pointing out the very quality of this production, and to hear that it's like your first big thing as a director, also dealing and handling all these many people that you need with it. It's really a great achievement. Congratulations. And it was really capturing. I mean, the moment you see the first, the sun beating down, and immediately, okay, we are being in trouble. Something bad is coming. And you're just waiting for Ennio Morricone's melody from Once Upon a Time in the West. And then suddenly you come with another thing where you think, well, am I now in a kind of medieval fantasy drama, or where is this going? And then the Mad Max references, I mean, they all add up to a constantly kind of new push of surprise and being intrigued to follow again and again. And whether it was, coincidence or real planning, the thing with the wax figures in the desert, I mean, this is such a great choice. Because even before you see them melting, you feel already, oh my God, how will they survive? So it's really great how you achieve to have so many subtle layers that really introduce us to the whole spectrum of the story that you are telling. And that's really great mastery. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you for the comments. Well, just quickly, do you have a final message for this creation or ISCA 2020 rejection panel? Anything for the audience?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks a lot to both of you for saying all those nice comments. Also, thanks a lot to ISCA for selecting me, and also the team that I made this with. This wouldn't have been possible without them. Yeah, and hope you guys enjoy watching it, and that anyone can find something in it for them. So yeah.
Right, thank you very much. So let me just close the session. So that was Daniel from National Film and Television School in the UK, and the title of the work was The Song of a Lost Boy. So thank you very much for joining. And
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. And let me move on to the next session. So in this session, we have Pat and Cynthia from the judging panel. Thank you for joining. Yes. So next up, we have a nominee from Norway, from Volda University College. We have Eric. Please join. Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear us?
Eric, how are you doing, man?
Yes, I'm good. Thanks.
Right. Please do introduce yourself first.
Yeah, my name is Eirik Heggen, and I'm an animator from Norway. And yeah, my film Tanabata was created during my third year as a graduation film. And I did everything from writing it and creating the characters and animation and directing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right, thank you very much. Yes, the title of the work was Tanabata. Yes, it has a very special meaning in Japan too.
Yeah.
So let's watch the trailer first, and then we go on to talk about the behind-the-scenes story. Thank you. All right. So yes, of course, during the ISCA 2020, we're going to show the entire film, but today we just had a 1 minute version. So let us hear more about your experience in creation of this film, like difficulties you had or fun, excitement that you experienced.
Yeah, Tanabata was my graduation project. It was a part of a 3-year program. In the first 2 years, in this program, we learned different animation history and different techniques in animation. And then the 3rd year, you get a whole year to create your own project and have a lot of freedom to choose your project. And during this year, I wanted to, as much as possible, to create a project that allowed me to create the fantasy world around my own drawings. And I wanted to have as much imagination as possible in my film. And I was constantly trying to search for interesting visual imagery to try and push myself to kind of have the most interesting story and the interesting characters. And the film is 10 minutes long, and I got during the process I got more and more ideas during the process.
Right.
My film was kind of constantly changing, and I was adding and
in.
And and I was constantly searching to make the film as interesting for me as possible. So I was trying to keep the process alive and taking away parts that I didn't like, and then push myself to get more and more interesting things. And the whole film was kind of based on first one drawing, which was about a doctor that was looking at a mysterious wound. So the whole film is kind of based around this concept of a plague, a mysterious plague, and it's actually a bit weird when a few months after my film finished, the whole Corona pandemic broke out. So it's a bit strange to make a film about a pandemic and then but
it's a difficult time for creation, isn't it? Working in certain sort of situation like that, it must be really difficult as well. But the challenge itself would enhance the creativity as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I also in my film I wanted to include as many interesting places. For example, I wanted to have a scene of the sun, to try and depict the sun in my film, because I thought this was really interesting thing for the imagination to think how would it look like this place, because it's in reality it's not possible to be there. So this was kind of things that I tried to do in my film.
Right, thanks a lot. So do you have any comments or insights from your side, from the judges? Pat, Cynthia?
Who would you like to go first? Or
no, it's just random. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, your passion really shows in this film. I mean, it's just amazing how worked it is. And one of the things that I find it really marvelous that you said you changed with it as it went along, that you changed your ideas, because I think that's what makes the film so captivating. It doesn't have that kind of stiff, this is the formula I'm going to follow, but it has a real flow that's really part of the work. So that's very impressive. It comes through. For me, the film is all about color. I mean, your willingness to just jump in there with the color. Of course, you know how to draw, and the shapes are beautiful and wonderful, and they're very captivating on their own. But without that intense color, I mean, that's what I remembered when I first viewed it, and when I viewed it, just reviewed it again just last night. I'm just really impressed with that. And finally, boy, it must have been a little bit eerie to be working on a pandemic and then have the pandemic happen or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of amazing that you anticipated what the weirdness that we're all living now. So anyway, let's see. Pat, you have.
Yeah.
I thought the style was really unique. I like how you went with kind of a graphical design look, but then you kind of dropped elements of like stuff that wasn't graphic design. It was like kind of your own illustrations and so forth in it. I like the overall symbology of the entire film. It just had a sense of like, when I first saw the witch character, I was like, it kind of was very spooky. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, this character looks super evil. Like you instantly were able to symbolize that and portray kind of like this dark energy, which a lot of people aren't able to really capture that sense of evil. And with a kind of a graphic design style, you were able with sound and music and so forth, you were able to capture that darkness, which a lot of people kind of aren't capable of capturing. And I just love the nature. I'm a very spiritual person, so I love to see like how nature kind of moves in cycles or in ways to higher levels of positivity and so forth, to try to cure something or to help something. And we're all kind of like this consciousness, this collective consciousness trying to help each other. And I like the way you portrayed in your own symbolic and your own stylistic method to portray the sense of the healing of what is going on. And it has this kind of symbology of what we're all experiencing right now. I think a lot of people, they don't know where to look because they have so much pain inside, or whatever they're going through, whatever they're experiencing. It could be emotionally, financially, or whatever they're experiencing. And this film really exemplifies a sense of going through darkness and trying to overcome your fears, anxiety, and anger, and a sense of to go through a healing process. And I think you portray that like really, really well with all the levels of creativity that you put in it. And you can see the beauty of your own heart that you put into this film. You could really see the beauty of your own heart being portrayed in this film. It's just like every moment you kind of like wanted to see what happens next because it was so epic. It was so big. And I think that really showed how creative your mind was, and how and the story behind it was just I just really enjoyed it. It was a great 10-minute piece. I mean, it's not easy to tell a story in such a short time, 10 minutes, so you were able, you were able to kind of capture that excitement throughout from beginning to end. So
yes, I was about to say how we can tell how passionate you are about this film. You just keep on expressing an appreciation of this film itself. So just to close the session, let me just have Eric once again and have some message to viewers or anything you'd like to say before closing.
Yeah, just thank you very much for the words. Really nice to, and also thank you so much for including me in my project for the festival. And I really hope that it's going to be I've watched some of the lectures, a few clips, and it looks really, really interesting, the talks that you had. But I want to watch them more thoroughly afterwards.
Yes.
And I really hope that you have a wonderful festival.
Right. So the aim of this award is not only just giving them, but actually the networking is also a big part. So please enjoy the rest of the program as well. So thank you very much for joining. So that was from Norway, the Volda University College, the Eric. Thank you very much. So the title of the work was Tanabata. Thank you so much for joining, and see you then.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks. See you.
Bye.
Okay. Okay, so the next session, we have a nominee from South Africa, AFDA School, Cape Town. Yolisa, please join. Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Can you hear us? Yes, now, yes. All right, so very good. So would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, okay. So my name is Yolisa Litwene. I'm the producer of Insight, and this was our third year graduation film project, and this was from After Film School in Cape Town.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's first watch the 1-minute trailer from Yolisa.
You don't want any of this?
Okay, thank you very much. So that was said the title was Insight. Okay, so let us hear more about your experience of the creation of this film, especially the difficulties you had or any unique experience or inspirational experience you had.
Okay. Okay, so basically the controlling idea of this film is really about confronting pain and embracing shame and guilt, and kind of confronting that to be able to achieve self-reconciliation. And this was something that we wanted to explore through a minority group or groups of marginalized communities. So in this instance, it was homeless people and the sex worker, which is the two main characters in our story. And in doing that, we obviously had to do a lot of research because we didn't want to in any way misrepresent these communities or feel like we were coming from a misinformed place in the way we were representing them. So just doing a lot of research in terms of the aftermath of apartheid in South Africa, because obviously this was set in the context of South Africa. But yeah, that was just something that was a challenge for us. So we did have to do a lot of research. Same thing with the actors as well. The main actor also experienced through like our rehearsals, having to wear contacts that actually obscured his vision. So they really were doing the most that they could to really embody these characters and really flesh them out in the most realistic way. So yeah, this film is actually meant to parallel colonization and the post-colonial angst and search for identity and belonging and a collective identity. So even in the world of the story and the creation of the world, that's something we try to reflect through just a very dystopian, post-apocalyptic type setting to really just highlight the disparity that is felt within these kind of displaced communities.
Right, thank you very much. So it's deeply connected to the kind of social backgrounds and also kind of, as you said, a deep survey would be the kind of very unique experience must be. So yes, we'll have two judges like Pat and Cynthia today joining in this session. So do you have any comments or questions to the nominee or anything you'd like to mention at this point?
I think it's really interesting to hear that the characters are actually a stand-in, that they're symbols for the greater tensions in our society and in the South African society. I would say all societies have tensions of the people who are somewhat marginalized. And that just knowing, understanding that from your perspective adds to the intensity of the film. It's an incredibly intense film to watch. The acting is really wonderful. Just the starting on the beach and the symbolism of being in the water, and then the lights in the club or whatever setting. And the story is difficult to watch, and that difficult to watch, and yet it's compelling. We're pulled into it. We really feel as we watch it. So thank you for providing this challenge, because you're really challenging your viewers, and that comes through.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh.
No, I was just going to say that I really enjoyed the rawness of the film from a visual perspective. It gave you this sense of like, it gave you this kind of darkness, this feeling of darkness, the depth of the darkness that I think that is really out there. And I think that's why it's very difficult to look at and watch, because you know that there's somewhere out there that's going on, that's really going on. And I think that in film, it's really hard to capture that in acting, in cinematography, and directing, to really capture that real essence of our reality, of what we're actually really, what people are really experiencing out there. And I love how you had these moments that were very pale, but then you had these really kind of, exotic dark colors that kind of amplified, the darkness of like what people were experiencing. But the one thing I liked about it the most was, I think, the symbology that you created in the film, which was that, without looking at just the visuals, but the story about, everyone has gone through their dark moments. Everyone has gone through this kind of, whether it's through drugs or, their finances or whatever, but everyone has gone through some kind of scary situation, or the sense of like wanting to belong, or something that they've lost and wanting to find it again. And I think that you were able to kind of portray that really deep sense of loss, and that desire to want to come back and to be your true authentic self again. And I think that's what the beauty of the film was really trying to express, with, while staring at it in fear, and being able to look at it, observe it, accept that fear, and be able to face that fear and to overcome it. And I think that was the real sense of emotion that I felt from the film.
Thank you very much. There's a very, very deep insight for the film itself as well. Yes, that symbolizes kind of the fear, but we need to face it. And actually, that film is a kind of entrance, and it's a way in to that kind of acceptance of the fear. All right, so thank you very much for the comment. And Yolisa, I would like to have you and say, if you'd like to say anything else, and for the message, as a message to the judges or the audience, anything you'd like to say to close this session?
Yes. First of all, I want to say thank you to the ISCA community for really just allowing us this platform and creating this space for us to just come together and share our ideas and perspectives, and share our creative voices with each other. It's really a special thing that, that all of us from different walks of life can just come and congregate in this space. So thank you for creating this space. And to the audience, I want to say that I hope you enjoy this film. I hope it's something that resonates with you and you can identify with it, and hopefully it can propel you into your own inward journey of trying to reconcile with yourself and maybe some of your own traumas, and just hopefully it can also, help you with your transformation journey, your transmuting, and just being able to better understand ourselves and other people, and being more compassionate to other people as well, in that sense.
Okay, thank you very much. So that was the session from South Africa. Thank you for joining AFDA School, Cape Town, Yelisa, and the title of the work is Insight. So thank you very much for joining this session, and hope to see you again in the award ceremony.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. So that's the
Hi.
end of right. So at long last, we came to the final nominee from Canada. Let me just invite from Sheridan College, Chen Xing Yap. Please join.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
What's up, man? Fellow Canadian.
I'm
Yes,
I'm not actually Canadian. I'm.
Oh, okay, but you're in. At least you're in Canada.
Close enough.
All right. So would you give us a kind of self-introduction first?
Okay. I'm Chen Xing. Yep. My nationality is Singaporean, but I currently live and study in Canada, specifically in the Greater Toronto area. So I'm in my first year of study at a film program at Sheridan College.
All right. Thank you very much. So let's watch first the trailer of the film you created. The title is Shift.
If no one knows when it will end, then it could end any time, right?
What do you mean?
Could it end next week?
No.
What about the end of April?
No.
May? June? Mom, you still there?
Right. Thank you so much. It's kind of intriguing introduction of the film itself. So we really like to hear your story behind the scenes or behind the creation of this film itself. So would you tell us more about your experience now?
Sure. So this film Shift, it well, obviously it's about our current time. So it started. It was made like fairly recently, back in July. So it all began. I think we formally began on July 1. That's when we put the ideas together, and then by July 13, I think less than 2 weeks later, we had to get it shot, and 5 days later, we got our first edit done. So the reason for that is because this short film Shift, it started as my friend saying to me, I want to do a short film, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna look. I went online and I looked for contests and competitions, and I found this one by a company in the UK that made this app that made this greeting card app where you can send like greeting cards with your loved ones, and they were running a competition about a video competition about that. And at first my producer was kind of she's kind of skeptical, and because she thought we were selling out or something, you know what I mean? But I thought I could make a story that sort of was around this app but wasn't about it. So I want to I want to put the story first. So the film is supposed to take place over 3 months. It was about a woman living in a car and over a long period of time. And to make this happen, we had to do a lot of things with production design, and also we wanted to get it shot in 1 day because the pandemic was still going strong in Ontario at that time, and we didn't want to expose people for like multiple days. So we needed to. So because this film takes place over 3 months, we had to get it. My strategy going in was, I'm gonna shoot as many setups as I can. So we need to squeeze all these setups into 1 day. So we had about, for a lot of shots, I believe they were between 20 minutes to 10 minutes, and we had about 45 shots to get through that for the day. So it was really, really hectic. And and every
short period of time for the
yes,
production, isn't it? Or filming itself, isn't it?
Yeah, that absolutely was. And after every shot, we had to our production team had to run in, and then they had to change all the props, change everything in the car, change the actor's hairstyle, change everything to make it seem like it's a brand new day every time we went to a new shot. So we did a lot of planning beforehand to make sure that we got it right. So the weeks leading up to it were also really hectic. I have a funny story about that, actually, because it was so hectic. I relied heavily on my producer and my AD for time, and she told me, and halfway through the shoot, she started telling me, "Okay, we have 15 minutes behind. Gotta go faster. 15 minutes behind." And then at the end of when the sun was setting and we had to get to the second half of our short list, she suddenly started telling me, "Hey, actually, you have time. You can do more takes of this." And I turned to her like, what are you talking about? 1 hour ago, you're telling me we were like super behind time. And it turned out that she had been lying to me the entire time, and we were actually ahead by an hour, and she just wanted me to hurry
to make sure that you were keeping a good time.
Exactly, and everyone in the crew knew except me.
Oh man, just you.
But we made it on time. Yeah.
Right. All right. So from the judging panels, do you have any comments or questions to Chin-Young?
Well, I find it really impressive now that I think about it. I was impressed that you could make something about the moment that we're in, why we were going through it, or the pandemic, in fact, that we're still going through it. But as I'm hearing about your production, I realized that the strategy of shooting through the car windshield was both protective for your crew and the actor, as well as telling the reality of the story. So that confluence of it's almost like shooting a war story of sorts. So you're in this situation, you're living the situation, and you're depicting it as a narrative within a narrative, which is really incredible. I found that the sense of time and change really did come across. We feel like we're living for a long time in a short moment. So, but the car windshield strategy for me was particularly striking. And so thank you for thinking about this, for bringing, to capture something, why people are living it, is incredibly difficult, an incredible challenge.
Yeah, I think for myself, I kind of like the sense that it was, most of it was shot in kind of like a one shot, and there's all this happening in like one single comic book panel, but then you had little kind of different types of separation of adding elements to it as she was talking. I also remember there was a part where she was kind of like, I have COVID virus, but then she's like, I'm not really sure if I do. So there's this kind of like uncertainty that she has. And, it's just pure, she's just going through this kind of immediate moment of fear, uncertainty, and not really understanding what to do. But then when you get to the very end, it's all about love. You know what I mean? And it's like this feeling like all this, just this unconditional love, even though they're letting her do what she wants, doing what she needs to kind of overcome her fears or understand what she's experiencing. They still have a method to really show her, hey man, everything's going to be okay, and to try to show her that, hey, I know you think you can't see your son, but here he is. So I felt like a lot of compassion at the very ending, and it was kind of like that trigger moment where you're like, okay, all this fear, all this concern, and then love, so it kind of really embraced the idea that love has the ability to overcome fear and really change the mindset of the way people behave and the way people act. And I think that is it came out at a really great time because, you know, obviously what people are really experiencing right now, a lot of people are experiencing fear, a lot of people are experiencing anxiety, and I think this is such a great film that has the potential to like just let people know, hey, you know, I know, you know, you're going through a tough time, and just to share their experience of love for them, and to make them feel that in a sense comforted through the process of this whole COVID experience. So it was a really well executed film.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Yeah. Right. So I would like Qianxin once again for the comment or the message you'd like to deliver about this activity or the project.
Yeah, I think my film is about, like Pat said, it's about fear, and it's also about feeling emotionally numb as a way to cope with being in isolation. Because for a lot of us, we've been in isolation for quite a long time, and what I want to say is that if you're far apart from the people you want to be with, you should find new ways to be together and do things together to cope with it. And also, like, there's a secondary message for filmmakers. If you should look at we should be looking at new ways to tell stories instead of just waiting for things to return to normal. Should stay safe and stay busy.
Right. Okay, thank you very much for joining us today. And that was the session from Canada, the Sheridan College, and Qianxin Yap. And the title of the work is Shift. Right. So thank you very much for joining, and see you soon at the ceremony.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
See you later.
Okay, so it seems the time is running up. So thank you very much for joining the session. So I'm closing this session of talking inside stories of making films. So today, actually, we introduced 1 minute trailer, but during the ISCA 2020, we would introduce the entire movie clips. So please visit the official website of International Students Creative Award 2020. And following that, tomorrow we are going to have a domestic video content category, like the same session as today for the different categories. And please enjoy the rest of the programs of ISCA 2020. So last but not least, thank you very much for your time, Cynthia and Geoffrey, Pat, for attending this fantastic programs. And I hope you get a really, really good insight on this ISCA 2020. And thank you very much for joining, and see you then.
Thank you.
Bye.